Howdy ho, brutes and heathens of the world. It's your man, Mr. Family Friendly, coming at you with another crispy gaming video. Since I've recently been remonetized, I decided that in the spirit of being appropriate for all ages, I would revisit one of my favorite games. The species simulator game, Spore. Now what's so advertiser friendly about this game, you ask? Well, today we're gonna distance ourselves from the mortal transgressions of violence and evolve a kind, humble species that focus not on conquest, but rather on kindness, self-reflection and morality. That's right. Come with me on a humbling spiritual journey as we complete the entirety of the game without ever harming a single other creature, neither physically nor emotionally. A journey to show you that any conflict can be overcome with love, and that life is both beautiful and valuable. If you aren't already in a tranquil state of bliss, then this journey should guide you to serenity. We start life on planet Ahimsa, which means compassion and not to injure. It refers to a key virtue in Indian religions. Ahimsa is one of the cardinal virtues, inspired by the premise that all living beings have the spark of the divine spiritual energy. Therefore, to hurt another being is to hurt oneself.
Be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a
meme.
Meet the Mahatmios Gandhicus, the most composed, tranquil creature in existence. Now, just a tiny multicellular organism, but one day we will evolve to spread peace upon the whole galaxy. Our peaceful crusade of tranquility starts by naturally not eating any other organisms. No, instead, we'll be consuming this delicious and nutritious kale. I know this takes a lot longer, but patience is one of our greatest virtues. Here we see a Mahatmios Gandhicus in its natural environment, surrounded by grave danger and troubling confrontations. Yet in the midst of anger and chaos, the Gandhicus remains in harmony. It remains content with a humble existence, comprised only of eating kale and reproducing. 100 million years after the first Gandhicus, the species has evolved in relation to its surroundings. Our consumption has made our forms reflect our minds. We now have multiple flagellas and can consume kale at a 180-degree angle. 100 million years of vegan dieting and meditation has also allowed the Gandhicus to open its third eye to a higher state of consciousness. Having access to the astral plane is like spiritual steroids. We can expect to see substantial spiritual gains over a short period of time. For example, here we see a Gandhicus being chased down by the cellular embodiment of death and evil. In trying to make its escape, it gets bitten and electrocuted. Knowing better than to retaliate with transgressions of violence, the Gandhicus continues down its own path of self-discovery. Unbeknownst to the assailants, violence has karmic consequences. 300 million years after the first Gandhicus. Here we see the final cellular stage of the Gandhicus. Many scholars have debated why these creatures temporarily evolved to become yellow and have a prolapsed anus, but we have yet to find a definitive answer. It's one of those things that boil down to the fact that evolution works in mysterious ways. 2 billion years of equilibrium passes by, and as the tides of time wash over the little guy, something rather curious happens. He is transformed into a courteous, moderate, inexcitable social creature with legs. For the first time, the Gandhicus treads on planet Ahimsa, ready to face the trials and tribulations of the unknown. Our species starts life on planet Ahimsa with highbrow civilized activities. You know, mingling with other creatures, singing, watching eggs hatch, and fertilizing nature. Because we are civilized and not wild animals that would resort to bloodshed. It is not that we are afraid of conflict. It is that we are better than that. We judge others based on their soul and merits, not their looks. That's why we're more than willing to ally with a literal penis and whatever the fuck that thing is. Because we're on the path of the righteous, we have access to Siren Song. Our singing is so harmonious that it instantly infatuates any species with us, making peaceful progress a much more fruitful endeavor. The Gandykus have evolved to be androgynous both biologically and sexually. They possess both multiple male and female reproductive organs. They also possess multiple male and female personalities, as the entire species is rampantly schizophrenic. This was an unfortunate side effect of not eating meat, as that meant they had to do whatever they could to survive, which meant eating infected tree bark, psilocybin mushrooms, and drinking seawater. Something that would historically be referred to by future civilizations as the incident. One of the benefits of rampant mental illness and multiple sex organs is that reproduction happens incredibly frequently. Here we see a popular form of sex known as the clinge minge. It sexually excites the Gandykus to such a degree that an egg is produced almost immediately after. "200 million years after the Gandykus first walked on planet Ahimsa, our species has reached an even more majestic level. We now have arms and a beak. Don't question it, this is how evolution works, okay? Since the Gandykus hasn't been hunting in all this time, it's developed actually useful skills that brutes couldn't possibly comprehend, such as dancing, posing, and charming. We continue to befriend everyone on our path. Not all welcome it, yet we remain vigilant and unafraid of rejection and failure. Time and time again, we are ridiculed and told that we aren't cool enough to hang. But trial and error eventually leads us to creatures that are so detestable and wretched that they have no choice but to be our friends. With a genetic disposition like that, you take what you can get. All is going smoothly, when suddenly, a meteor storm strikes our planet. The timing couldn't be worse, as our protagonist is smack in the middle of a psychotic episode. This bewildered Gandykus stumbles into a spice geyser and is launched a solid 30 feet in the air. Due to the unfortunate law of gravity, both legs are broken upon landing. The spine is fractured and a lung is punctured. Our little fellow is now close to starving to death, mortally injured and in a pure state of panic. That is when our pack is attacked by an indigenous group of vicious savages. We naturally flee like cowards, because a real hero doesn't fight for his life or save his friends. No, he runs away to bide his time and gather his strength. And right as you think the worst is over, you find out that that was only the calm before the storm. We encounter a hyper-aggressive species that are no shit named the Sharkosaurus. With us backed into a corner, we're forced to use our ace in the hole, our top shelf certified super move, the Siren Song. Narrowly escaping the grips of death, we finish the pilgrimage to the new nest, where our peaceful endeavors would go on to prosper for another 100 million years. Here, we see a young Gandykus entering the world. With nutrient-dense lemongrass and plenty of land on which to procreate, evolution has led to these creatures growing bigger, stronger, and smarter. They've also developed massive feet and a ponytail. Once again, don't question it, this is how evolution works. But it ain't all sunshine and rainbows. Life in nature ain't easy for a pacifist. It requires fortitude and perseverance. You may be ready to give your life for the cause, but are you willing to stand back and do nothing as your friends are brutally murdered? Do you have what it takes to keep dancing when you can literally hear the torturous screams of your compadres in the background? Even then, will you do no harm? These are the types of sacrifices that have to be made to overcome social barriers and further diplomacy. I mean, think about it, it's pretty fucking metal that they initiated me into their gang based on what I did to my friends. I want to see what these guys are supposed to look like. Whoever made them clearly took inspiration from a Diggity Dog, the board game. See, they got the same pattern as the logo. We're gonna have to add one of those to our pack just because of their singing. And fuck. You know, it was much too violent to exist in our pure new world order anyways. Perhaps it was for the best. Now here we see an ultra-powerful rogue creature, and right as we've gotten his unwavering trust, fucking alien invasion every goddamn time. These are just a few examples of the harsh struggles the Gandikus faced in their evolutionary path to civilization. Fast forward 200 million years, and we see the final physical evolution of our species, the Gandikus erectus. It's beautiful. Throughout 2.5 billion years of evolution, it's retained both its third and fourth eye for direct access to the astral plane. You can tell that we come in peace, from our hands that are permanently in an unimposing, courteous position, signaling that we do not desire conflict. We got 2 big front teeth for effective carrot consumption, and a fin that came about as a result of spending excessive periods in toxic swamplands eating algae. Being such a fucking unit means that almost no other creatures can resist our charisma. Like a prehistorical Jesus, we go from nest to nest spreading the good word of peace and kindness. There are those that do not adhere to our sacred ways, those that still follow the dark path of aggression and destruction. One can only watch family and friends be eaten alive by a giant unstoppable fuckman so many times and still look the other way. You see, even if you turn your back, you can still hear the gut-wrenching screams of Jared having his ribcage crushed in the back. Life is psychological torture, and the Gandikus truly is too pure for this world. Here we see him signaling the monster to put down his friend, after which the fuckman actually does it, just to finish the job by crushing Jared with his foot. It was at this point that our main protagonist had had enough. This violence and bloodshed has gone on long enough. You'll see the light once you hear my siren song. Like many before him, that Gandikus didn't make it. But the species as a whole did. You see, excessive meditation and self-reflection led to an awakening of the real potential of the mammal psychological prowess. As these generations of Gandikus erectus breed, the species exponentially leap further up the food chain due to their growing intelligence, until eventually they develop advanced language, discover fire, and kickstart the Neolithic Revolution. Thus begins the era of tribalism. The Gandikus erectus have successfully won the evolutionary race and is the first sentient species on Ahimsa to develop higher intelligence. We are the peace tribe. Instead of hunting and waging war, we make peace treaties and smoke chamalucha on the peace pipe. We may have our food supplies raided by wild animals, but we understand that everybody eats, and sometimes we need to go hungry. As the chieftain of the village, I saw young Babadulnek attacking a wild animal raiding the last of our supplies. Babadulnek was given enough food to last him 3 days and immediately exiled to live amongst the Dranakuyaks. He's doing pretty well so far, but that Dranakuyak looks mighty hungry and aggressive. By the way, that's our only surviving friend from the creature stage. We keep him as a pet now. The early Gandikus erectus tribesman has a nose ring that goes through his teeth to show that we're not afraid of pain. A mask that blocks his 2 functional eyes because we know that to truly see, you use your mind and not your vision. A tactical loincloth is also implemented to cover up the 7 sexual organs. We got 2 massive shin guards to protect from wild animals raiding our food, and a hat to show that we are cultured and sophisticated. Now, there are multiple tribes developing different cultures and ideas. That's exactly the problem. You see, we have a very globalistic approach to pacifism and kindness. Where others take up arms and plunder those they consider to be heathens, we civilized folk let our people starve so we can give peace offerings in form of fruit, even though we're conveniently close to the sea. We naturally don't hunt for fish, as that would harm the fish. As a result of millions of years of schizophrenic androgynous inbreeding, our shaman is able to perform a rain dance that's so powerful it summons a storm that causes fruit to be replenished and fall from the trees. We unfortunately don't have any dance to protect us from other tribes. Here we see the peace tribe being burnt down in a pagan raid. Our only line of defense is letting our tribesmen be slaughtered and releasing fireworks to try and distract the pagans. Such is life in the peace tribe. Be raided, have your home burnt down, they eat your food, kill your dad and fuck your wife. And if you survive, what do you do to retaliate? gather even more food to give as gifts to the pagans. You naturally pick up an instrument and play your heart out in the hopes that the pagans pity you enough to raid someone else for a while. Gather supplies, rebuild, give most of your supplies away to maintain peace, get burnt down, rain dance, repeat. It really is a tedious process. Yet little by little, we improve relations with surrounding tribes, as we have no need for warriors. Instead, everyone is trained from an early age in the ways of the wooden horn, maraca, and the didgeridoo. The wild animals may steal our food. The pagans may fuck our dads and kill our wives, and we might have our village burnt down time and time again. But eventually, we managed to unite all the tribes. Because we converted all 5 opposing tribes to our belief system, we get the Tribal Socialite achievement. In a peaceful time, where unique ideas can prosper and technology is thriving, we kickstart the Industrial Revolution. Our people have formed a high society and are the most cultured and refined people in existence, as can be seen by our top hat, classy hair, mustache, and general excellence in our clothing style. We carry ourselves with grace and dignity. All citizens of Peaceville wear a mandatory golden necklace that symbolizes how much better we are compared to other nations. In a peaceful world, species that survived by preying on others didn't have the finesse for agriculture, which meant that the Ganticus erectus was the only species with higher intelligence to make it this far in evolution. Now, we face an even greater sociological threat. Since we went from being a few thousand to several 100,000 on the planet, there are countries that have turned their backs on the holy ways of peace. It's our holy mission to make sure that our tranquil ways are preserved during this next crucial step in evolution. In the civilization stage, we turn to economy and religion. We hog up as many spice geysers as we can, set up trade routes, and attempt to unite our people and create a utopia without harming any living being. Our only way to engage in diplomacy is to compliment other nations, give them money, and use a brainwashing tool which improves relations, a tool that has by many been called a disgrace and complete violation of our rights, although that's only because they don't know what's best for them. Other nations have their citizens performing useless tasks in their free time, like push-ups or philosophical debate, whereas our advanced, economical, religious nation have our citizens spending any free time they have, paying homage to a higher power and praising the government. Our vehicles are bland and unexciting to show that they truly serve no purpose other than maintaining spice production and transporting ambassadors of peace. Our cities are designed with playful architecture and in many happy colors to boost the mood of our hard-working people. I'll admit that playing the civilization stage like this is an extremely slow and tedious process. It literally boils down to waiting ungodly amounts of time to then give the spore books that your citizens work themselves to the bone for to other nations just to ever so slightly make them like us more. When the going gets rough, we replace entertainment buildings with factories and increase the taxes. About an hour into this morally questionable endeavor, we encounter a massive problem. A giant creature attacks our nation. We don't have any defensive turrets, and we're ideologically opposition to harming the creature. Now all we can do is pray and watch the creature break building after building, murdering innocent civilians by the thousands, and sacrifice almost every spice collecting vehicle in our arsenal to lure the creature away from the city. God, I fucking love having to deal with EA game mechanics, by the way. Our nation survived by the skin of its teeth, but this incident completely devastated our economy, and our spice production now barely covers our expenses. This is where a nation of weak-willed cowards would simply build a small army, take over a city and get things going, but we don't adhere to the ways of the devil. No, instead, we demolish entertainment buildings, set up factories, and increase the taxes. This caused our citizens to go on a strike. We swiftly resolved the conflict by using the government-controlled media to blame the Pink Nation for why our people suffer in poverty. In a way, our mission to harm absolutely no one is actively making hundreds of thousands of people suffer greatly. Some would argue that pacifism is not an ideology that works on a large scale. Those are unfaithful heathens, and they're the problem with our world. You see, this was a monumental point in history, where the nation of peace showed their grit and endurance. We manipulated global media and inflated the spice market, bought up spice at a ridiculously low price, after which we held on to it and waited. As the war-waging nations kept bombing each other, there came a time where they could no longer sustain their own economies. In a scheme with Blue Nation, we started selling spice at an outrageous price. It was the greatest pump and dump scheme ever executed. Overnight, we became the richest, most influential nation on the planet. By the time all the other nations realized what we had done, it was already too late. Their spice was worthless and their national reserves were empty. We started small, buying cities and pieces of land until eventually every nation had to throw the towel in the ring and adhere to our sacred ways. We can see the writing on the wall. I think it's time to fight no more. Forever. These were the words we had waited for. Global domination was ours, and we had united our planet into a utopia. Every step of the way, there was ungodly suffering, but we never directly harmed anyone. With our species having eliminated famine and suffering, technology and science could prosper, and soon after we had our eyes on the starry sky. We had achieved our goals on this planet. Now it was time to bring our peaceful crusade to the galaxy. Thus we've reached the final frontier of mortal existence. Our humble empire begins with merely a single spaceship departing from a single planet. We are but a drop of water in the ocean of existence. This transcendental point in our journey reminds me of a famous quote by a wise man named Christopher Wistifer. He said, "When in doubt, whip it out." And those are words I'll always live by. 3 billion years of meditation, veganism, and rampant inbreeding of the mentally ill has given us powerful, peaceful abilities in the space stage. We have gracious greeting, which boosts our initial relationship with alien races. Pleasing performance makes all of our colonies happy and reduces the likelihood of revolt. Green Keeper decreases the rate of biodisasters in all our colonies. And finally, Social Swab gives us a 20% discount on all social tools, or as many have called them, a complete violation of our rights. Please help us. Yeah, they don't know what's best for them though. Our strategy remains unchanged. Build a strong, economic, religious empire. Ally with anyone we come into contact with. If any of them try to start wars with us, we cuck out and pay them to leave us alone. To start, we'll need to set up spice colonies, and for that we'll need money. Unfortunately, we now have to complete missions for other alien races, but we can only complete the missions that don't have us harming any life forms. Every time we enter a mission and it happens to be something we can't morally go through with, we worsen our relationship with that empire. This leaves us stuck in a Ponzi scheme, always giving the money we worked so hard for away just to remain at constant peace. Of course, this leaves us with the choice to take the galactic adventure missions that can be completed in accordance with our beliefs. The compromise is that we now have to play EA's dreadful Galactic Adventures expansion with their patented EA gruesome game mechanics. Eventually, we managed to build a sustainable economy. We have a small spice colony, some minor trade routes, and a few alliances. Now, we optimize. We use the power of Google.com to discover the most optimal layout architecture of our colonies. We invest all our riches into increasing production. We terraform planets and fill out their ecosystems to be perfectly suited for life. We unlock the spice storage after setting up 5 trade routes. And we ally with empires that will pay top dollar for purple and pink spice. Our spaceship has a tool we call the Super Happy Ray. It coincidentally incorporates technology that is quite controversial, as many have called it exactly the same thing they used on their own people. It's a complete violation of our rights. Please help us. Although after a quick beaming with the Happy Ray, the ones who said that changed their stance on the matter. We continue to expand our holy empire. We upgrade every part of our spaceship. Our space fleet grows meaninglessly, as we now have 5 spaceships that we won't use to attack anyone. After forming 20 alliances, we get access to the embassy. We also acquire technology that'll let us travel through wormholes. Our spice colonies are thriving and are surrounded by allies. With our empire prospering both both financially and politically, it gives way for us to explore the galaxy. Wherever we go, we hear conflicting statements about the center of the galaxy. Supposedly, the very secret to existence lies there. Naturally, we'd better investigate. We stock up on energy and repair packs and head towards the last undiscovered frontier of our world. As we edge closer to the center, we get acquainted with the gruesome species that rule these parts. An evil, extremely violent, aggressive species known as the Grox. They have an interesting -70 relationship affinity simply for distrusting strangers. And they're no doubt the most destructive, heinous race we've ever come across. However, we only know one way of life, and that is to meet hatred and violence with love and compassion. We undertake our hardest task yet, to ally with the Grox. It should be noted that during the entire process of allying with the Grox, no matter how much they like you, they will still set their 5-star Empire ships to attack you relentlessly. We use the Super Happy Ray, but on the Grox it's merely a mild mood booster. We set up an embassy, which also made them a bit happier because now they had a pathetic building to laugh at. We give them literally millions of spore bucks, plus 10 points. We've done everything currently in our power, and that makes us barely neutral, which in turn allows us to undertake missions for the Grox. Mind you, even as they're giving us missions to complete for them, they're actively trying to kill us. They want us to bring them a specimen of a plant. That doesn't seem too bad. We can get that done no problem. Now they want us to retrieve artifacts. Holy shit, maybe they're not so evil after all. They seem alright. They're not asking us to kill or anything. We complete mission after mission for the Grox and soon enough realize that these missions won't be enough to get to the blue smiley that would allow a trade route. To truly make these vile abominations like us, we need to break the galactic code. There's only 3 ways of doing that. A planet buster that immediately destroys an entire planet. Not happening. A gravitation wave that destroys all buildings on a planet, killing millions. Absolutely not. Which leaves us with the final option, Fanatical Frenzy. If we become a zealot, we can take all inhabitants on a planet and convert them to the one true way. You know, we technically wouldn't be harming them. It's best to think like us anyways. So we traverse back to our original colonies. One of our allies is a 4-star zealot empire, which lets us undertake the holy teachings to become one of them. We pay a small fee of 5 million spore bucks to achieve the highest form of religious zealotry. Now they want us to colonize 15 more systems. After swiftly powering through EA's patented, gruesome game mechanics, we now go back near the Grox systems, convert these innocent heathens to the one true way. Feelings of self-hatred, guilt, and disgust are present in our minds. Luckily, we have the Super Happy Ray. We beam ourselves a bit with that bad boy and keep going. Finally, the Grox have the blue smiley. We set up a trade route, which many of our people deemed inoptimal, seeing as it consisted of trading our money and goods for the very oxygen we breathe. The terms were quite mandatory though. Eventually, this questionable trade route made us able to request an alliance. To prove our allegiance and loyalty to the Grox, they had one final mission in store for us. One last task that would make us allies, grant us access to the middle of the galaxy, and truly create lasting peace. Something that would transform this world into a utopia of joy and happiness. I felt a chill run down my spine as I read the mission briefing. Abduct a citizen of the Mohandas Gandikas Empire. They say they need to study it. Surely they're honest, right? Surely they have a moral procedure to their science. 4 billion years of great pain and suffering. We're so close. You know what? Sometimes you have to do what's best for the world. Hit that happy beam and get the fucking job done. Without asking any questions, we painstakingly deliver one of our own innocent citizens to the Grox. Finally, the green smiley. We've earned the trust of these abominations. All we have to do now is request an alliance, and all will be good in the world. We accept your alliance, provided that you continue to accept our orders. That's not an alliance. What are all these transmissions Wait. No. Every alliance we've built in our billion-year interstellar crusade of friendship and truce is broken. Every single empire that we had dedicated our entire existence to befriending just declared war on us. Along with every other empire in existence who aren't the Grox. I'm not quite sure where it happened, but somewhere along the journey my ambitions overtook my morals. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Mine blinded me and led me astray. I've grown an insurmountable tolerance to the happy ray. Once it wears off, I'm not quite sure what I'll do. No, this can't be. I still have time. Surely what's in the middle of the galaxy will justify what we've done. I didn't turn on the ways of my people to create more suffering. Or so I thought. What I met in the middle was Steve.
I'm Steve.
Who gave me the Staff of Life. 42 times I can automatically terraform a planet. That's it. The ability to improve 42 planets in exchange for making war with almost every star system in the conceivable universe, with the exception of the ones whose cruel orders I have to follow. In my quest to harm no one and create lasting peace, I have made war with over half the universe. I've become what I sought out to destroy. Before I end my own existence, there's one last thing I have to do. I'll return to the Mecca, where it all began. Planet Ahimsa. It really is beautiful. Alexa, play Hurt.
Hurt by 1,000 Foot Crutch from Spotify.
When you need me and I can't break your fall, it hurts when you can't see, and it hurts when you need me and I can't break your fall. It hurts when you can't see, and it hurts, and it hurts when you need me and I can't break your fall. It hurts when you can't see, and it hurts, yeah, yeah, it
It's a little bit like burnt wood.